EMC Unified Storage Technical Review, Take 1. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier Uresti with EMC Corporation. I've been with EMC for about 8 years, and my charter at EMC is Unified Storage. We'll talk a little bit more about what that really means. So without further ado, let's take a look at the agenda. Agenda, introductions, again, Javier with EMC. We're going to talk a little bit about the unified message and what that means. Different messages to different people, but we'll clarify what that means from an EMC perspective. Unified storage, we'll talk about the technology, the components. Demo, we'll have a demo. We'll talk about virtual provisioning, data duplication, file system creation, that type of content, and lastly, Q&A. So with that being said, let's dive right into the unified storage message. Again, I want to keep this interactive, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll get those answered as quickly as I can. With that being said, unified storage message, let's take a look. So we start with an application, whether it's just your meat and potatoes file services, or say Oracle over NFS, or Oracle over Fiber Channel, SQL. Exchange seems to be a very hot item these days, specifically with the 2007, and more so because of the whole virtualization scene. Exchange is really starting to take or morph into more of a virtual first versus a physical. SharePoint, there are some other applications, but if you think about EMC's view on unified storage, we talk first at an application layer, or an application. And again, as I mentioned, VMware is a very hot topic, so if you layer the application within a virtual environment, that becomes most cost affordable and most efficient. Now, this is where kind of the bulk or the vision comes in from a unified storage perspective. What we're seeing are customers asking for different connectivity types. For example, Fiber Channel over Ethernet, perhaps iSCSI, CIFS, NFS. So unified storage for us, from an EMC perspective, means multiple connectivity options, whether it's Oracle over NFS, or Exchange over iSCSI, or file services over CIFS, allowing you the flexibility of ordering a single system or procuring a single system, a single array, a single platform that has the ability of all of these connectivity types. That's what's unified storage from an EMC. That's what we're referring to here. That's the concept. So with this concept, there are management not only from the front end in terms of Oracle management, SQL management, Exchange management, but also kind of a unified management from the back-end perspective. In other words, creating file systems, creating LUNs and RAID groups. So having a robust management to manage both the front end and the back end is extremely important. Also, we've introduced flash, enterprise flash drives. So having an array that has the ability of creating multiple tiers, in other words, putting the right content at the right tier at the right time, or moving that content based off date, time, compliance, those type of triggers. So again, having the ability of moving data or classifying data, ILM is what it's referred to. Having that ability is also very critical. 5 nines, also very important. Our unified storage is built on the CX4 platform, so many of you know the Clarion platform. This unified storage is built on that CX4 platform, so the availability is definitely there. We've introduced some new features: compression, dedupe. Virtual provisioning has been around for quite some time, so virtual provisioning is the concept of creating a file system that is maybe 200 gigs, but ultimately when the client maps or mounts that particular file system, it appears as a 1 terabyte. So giving the illusion that they have a 1 terabyte file system, when in actuality we've only allocated, say, 200 gigs. That's what virtual provisioning represents. Compliant worm. Again, March 2nd, we released two very, very hot features within the Unified Storage Platform. One was a dedupe. The next is compliant worm, so having the ability of locking down a file system and locking it down so you can't delete, but having some type of a retention schedule so when these files become eligible for deletion, they can be deleted. DR, very important. Whether you're replicating Fibre Channel, whether you're replicating a iSCSI LUN and target, whether you're replicating just general CIFS NFS data, having the ability of having a replica or a DR site, very, very important. And again, different types of spindles or drive types is also pretty important when you start talking about total cost of ownership. Lastly, the unified storage wouldn't be necessarily a vision or a message or a solution if we didn't support the underlying and the underpinning products that EMC has in its entire portfolio. For example, Clarion, Rainfinity, RecoverPoint, Avamar, EDL, Centera, all of those products integrate into the unified storage. So the unified storage message in a nutshell is having a single array with purposely built platforms to extend their reach, but also fundamentally having the ability to have multiple connectivity types from a single array, single footprint. Great. Let's move on. This is the platform. The platform has been refreshed. We've introduced some new models, the NS120, and again we've taken kind of a page out of Clarion's book, and the 120 basically represents the 120 drives that fit in the system, the NS480, 480 drives, 960, 960 drives. I'll let you take a second to look at this particular slide, and again I will make these slides available to you guys. But again, as you look through the portfolio, really the difference between, say, the left hand and the right hand is that we offer a gateway. So if you already have an investment, whether it's a Clarion or a Symmetrix, we would just bolt on the file heads, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means and the architecture there. And on the left-hand side, the NS120, NS480, NS960, and of course the NX4, excuse me. Those are what we call integrated. So we'd sell that as a bundle with the Fibre Channel option enabled, and again having the connectivity from a NAS, from an iSCSI, from a Fibre Channel perspective. Okay, so let's dive into some components because it'll be important as we focus in on the demo when we transition into the demo here in just a couple of minutes. This is our entry-level system here, the NX4. You will notice on the next couple of slides the components are essentially the same. The only difference is the horsepower, the capacity, and the amount of blades. So if you take a look at this particular diagram, the number 1 represents the blade. So what a blade is, think about it as a 1U Intel Xeon processor. It is a blade